Okay, wonderful. Okay, hello, we're back here again together. I'm very happy to have Julie here with us. This is Julie Chisho Kase. Julie has been a member of ZLMC for 16 years, and she received Jukai and is a ZLMC certified mindfulness and meditation teacher. Chisho has also lovingly been our Tenzo during our retreats, during our Ango period for years now. So she is the epitome of nourishment for us in our Sangha. She has a degree in environmental science and has taught in the Chicago public school system. Her talk today is entitled Basic Goodness, and it's going to be a treasure listening to her. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Can you hear me online? All right. Great. Okay. Basic goodness. Welcome. So, my teacher is Robert Althaus, Roshi Robert Althaus, and one of his teachers, root teachers, is Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, and he wrote a book called Shambhala, the Sacred Path of the Warrior. And what I did was I went through the whole book and I collected quotes about basic goodness, and that is going to be my talk. So here's the first one. If we are willing to take an unbiased look, we will find that in spite of all our problems and confusion, all our emotional and psychological ups and downs, there is something basically good about our existence as human beings. Unless we can discover that ground of goodness in our own lives, we cannot hope to improve the lives of others. If we are simply miserable and wretched beings, how can we possibly imagine, let alone realize, an enlightened society? So, this is me talking. This is the end of the quote. So it says unbiased look. We have to know that our brains are biased. We have what's called a negative bias. It comes from evolution. In order to survive, our brains have a negative bias towards paying attention to predators instead of sunsets. And that helps us to survive. But it's not so great for having a good time. So you have to know that going in, we are biased towards the negative. So it's actually good news for us. Our lives are better than they appear. Okay, so here's the next one. Discovering real goodness comes from appreciating very simple experiences. We are not talking about how good it feels to make $1 million, or finally graduate from college, or buy a new house, but we are speaking here of the basic goodness of being alive, which does not depend on our accomplishments or fulfilling our desires. We experience glimpses of goodness all the time, but we often fail to acknowledge them. When we see a bright color, we are witnessing our own inherent goodness. When we hear a beautiful sound, we are hearing our own basic goodness. When we step out of the shower, we feel fresh and clean. And when we walk out of a stuffy room, we appreciate the sudden whiff of fresh air. These events may take a fraction of a second, but they are real experiences of goodness. They happen to us all the time, but usually we ignore them as mundane or purely coincidental. According to the Shambhala principles, however, it is worthwhile to recognize and take advantage of those moments because they are revealing basic non-aggression and freshness in our lives, basic goodness. So to me, basic goodness is mysterious and ordinary. So ordinary, like he says, stepping out of the shower is basic goodness. So let's take a moment here and think of 2 ordinary things that are good. I'll go first. Coffee and sunsets. And I'll give you a minute to think of them. And if you're online, you can put them in the chat. And if you're in the room, you can tell them to your next door neighbor. Okay. Anybody want to share with the group? Yep.
Being greeted by my dogs.
Ooh. Getting into the hot tub.
Ooh.
My 2 grandsons.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Waking up.
Nice.
Laughter.
Yeah. Nice.
Going to sleep.
A good hug.
Yeah. Yeah.
The lacework of the palm needles against the sky. And how nice this floor is. It's so smooth.
Yeah. Whoa. All right. Okay. Anybody online?
I said opening a new book and coffee.
I said my husband and chocolate chip cookies.
In what order? Sorry. For me, it's a cup of coffee in the morning. And first of all, it's like I'm breathing, and there's still life here. So.
Great. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, Trungpa also says, every human being has a nature of goodness, which is undiluted and unconfused. That goodness contains tremendous gentleness and appreciation. As human beings, we can make love. We can stroke someone with a gentle touch. We can kiss someone with gentle understanding. We can appreciate beauty. We can appreciate the best of this world. I'll say that this is very true. We have such a capacity to appreciate beauty and be gentle. Think of a little kitten, or going out to see a starry sky. It's so beautiful. Okay. Trungpa also says, the discovery of basic goodness is not a religious experience particularly. Rather, it is the realization that we can directly experience and work with reality, the real world that we are in. Experiencing the basic goodness of our lives makes us feel that we are intelligent and decent people and that the world is not a threat. When we feel that our lives are genuine and good, we do not have to deceive ourselves or other people. We can see our shortcomings without feeling guilty or inadequate, and at the same time, we see our potential for extending goodness to others. We can tell the truth straightforwardly and be absolutely open, but steadfast at the same time. He's saying you work with reality that you're in. And the world is not a threat. So you can feel safe and be yourself. And you don't have to feel bad about yourself. And you can be with other people just as you are. He also says, when you don't punish or condemn yourself, when you relax more and appreciate your body and mind, you begin to contact the fundamental notion of basic goodness in yourself. So, this is a very, very important part. You're not beating yourself up. You're basically relaxing. He says relax and appreciate your body and mind. So this is a big relief to me. It's like, how wonderful is that? Somebody telling you you can relax. He goes on. We are talking about a very basic act. Sitting on the ground, assuming a good posture, and developing our sense of spot, our place on this earth. This is the means of rediscovering ourselves and our basic goodness. The means to tune ourselves into genuine reality without any expectations or preconceptions. So, Trungpa talks about meditation as the way to discover basic goodness, and sitting on the ground and having good posture is part of that, part of the meditation act, and having a place on the earth. Trungpa says, in some sense, we should regard ourselves as being burdened. We have the burden of helping this world. We cannot forget this responsibility to others. But if we take our burden as a delight, we can actually liberate this world. The way to begin is with ourselves. From being open and honest with ourselves, we can also learn to be open with others. So we can work with the rest of the world on the basis of goodness we discover in ourselves. Therefore, meditation practice is regarded as good and, in fact, excellent way to overcome warfare in the world, our own warfare as well as greater warfare.
Can you
Okay.
read that again?
The whole thing?
No, just that last line.
Sure. Therefore, meditation practice is regarded as a good and, in fact, excellent way to overcome warfare in the world, our own warfare as well as greater warfare.
Thank you.
Yes. So, we have the delight, he says, of helping liberate the world by helping others. And this is, how is it a delight? Well, you're helping your friends. and probably your enemies too, but you can start with your friends. Okay, Trungpa says, when we speak of basic goodness, we are not talking about having allegiance to good and rejecting bad. Basic goodness is good because it is unconditional or fundamental. It is there already, in the same way that heaven and earth are there already. We don't reject our atmosphere. We don't reject the sun and the moon, the clouds and the sky. We accept them. So, we don't have to reject the bad. It's already there already. He goes on to say, basic goodness is what we have, what we are provided with. It is the natural situation that we have inherited from birth onwards. The first step in realizing basic goodness is to appreciate what we have. So, if you think of all the things that you have, and appreciate them, that is the first step. And that is basic goodness. Trungpa says, the expression of basic goodness is always connected with gentleness, not feeble, lukewarm milk and honey gentleness, but wholehearted, perky gentleness with good head and shoulders. Gentleness in this sense comes from experiencing the absence of doubt or doubtlessness, trusting in the heart, trusting yourself. So, he's talking about gentleness and trusting yourself. And this goes hand in hand with meditating. I find that when I meditate, I'm able to contact my heart and really find out what I'm feeling and needing, and really trust myself. Trungpa says, when you experience the goodness of being alive, you can respect who and what you are. This is a big one because in the United States, we have a pervasive kind of culture of original sin, which is not so great sometimes. But with basic goodness, you can respect who and what you are. And it's about the goodness, your basic goodness. And you don't have to believe that. Trungpa says, it is like having your teeth cleaned. When you leave the dentist's office, your teeth feel so good. You feel as though you had a new set of teeth, but in actual fact, it is just that your teeth are clean. You realize that they are basically good teeth. Yeah, I recently went to the dentist and I had no cavities, so I felt really good. He says, in this world there are always possibilities of original purity because the world is clean to begin with. For example, when you buy new towels, they don't have any dirt on them. Then as you use them, they become dirty. But you can always wash them and return them to their original state. In the same way, our entire physical and psychological existence and the world that we know, our sky, our earth, our houses, everything we have, was and is originally clean. But then we begin to smear the situation with our conflicting emotions. Still, fundamentally speaking, our existence is all good, and it is all launderable. That is what we mean by basic goodness, the pure ground that is always there, waiting to be cleaned by us. We can always return to that primordial ground. That is the logic of the great eastern sun. For this, you need a little bit of leeway because there's things like nuclear waste and things like that, you know, and a towel can get stained, but you get what he's trying to say. Like, you can always do the laundry and mop the floor and take a shower. And we have a beautiful water cycle. And that's, he's saying with basic goodness, that's true for yourself. You can always launder yourself. He also says, the need for renunciation arises when you begin to feel that basic goodness belongs to you. Of course, you cannot make a personal possession out of basic goodness. So, we don't have to worry too much about this because it's really hard to make a possession out of basic goodness. Because it's just like, you'd have to be like Gollum in Lord of the Rings, practically. That's what I'm picturing. Yeah. But the way that you learn about basic goodness is by ordinary experiences, by meditating, and through caring for others. Trungpa also says, the goal of warriorship is to express basic goodness in its most complete, fresh, and brilliant form. This is possible when you realize that you do not possess basic goodness, but that you are basic goodness in itself. Therefore, training yourself to be a warrior is learning to rest in basic goodness, to rest in a complete state of simplicity. So, I do a lot of drinking tea, and for me this is resting in a state of simplicity. Because basically you're just drinking the tea, and it's a way to rest, and it's basic goodness. It's just nice, like you're connecting with your body, and the tea is warm, and it tastes good. And it takes a while to drink because it's hot at first and you can't really drink it. So it's a nice simple act to do. Trungpa also says, when the warrior has unwavering discipline, he takes joy in the journey and joy in working with others. Rejoicing takes place throughout the warrior's life. Why are you always joyful? Because you have witnessed your basic goodness, because you have nothing to hang on to, and because you have experienced the sense of renunciation that we have discussed earlier. So he's saying that you can throw a party. When you have discipline, you can have joy. We see this a lot in retreats and in Ango. There's lots of joy to be had. Next is a quote about fear. He says, "There may be times on your journey when you are so petrified that you vibrate in the saddle, from your teeth to your hands to your legs. You are hardly sitting on the horse. You are practically levitating with fear. But even that is regarded as an expression of fearlessness if you have a fundamental connection with the earth as your basic of your basic goodness." So he's saying if you can connect with your basic goodness when you're afraid, you can be fearless. Trungpa says, "When you live your life in accordance with basic goodness, then you develop natural elegance. Your life can be spacious and relaxed without having to be sloppy. You can actually let go of your depression and embarrassment about being a human being, and you can cheer up." I'll say, who does not want to be elegant and relaxed? That sounds great. Yeah, it makes sense too, because when you believe that you're really good deep down, it makes perfect sense that you would be elegant and relaxed. He also says, "You have to relax with yourself in order to realize that discipline is simply the expression of your basic goodness." I'll read that one again. You have to relax with yourself in order to realize that discipline is simply the expression of your basic goodness. He also says, "Your body is an extension of basic goodness. It is the closest implement or tool that you have to express basic goodness. So appreciating your body is very important. The food that you eat, the liquor you drink, the clothes you wear, and getting proper exercise are all important." I'll say that the body contains so much wisdom that you can meditate for hours and hours and hours just listening to your body and be captivated. But there's so many things you can do to appreciate your body. You can, if you want to be trendy, you can take an everything shower. And it's this trend on the internet where you go in your shower and you do everything in the shower. You use all the soaps that you have, all the face masks and everything. You do everything in one shower, shave and everything. But you can cook yourself a really good meal. You can get a massage. You take one of Melanie's yoga classes. Yeah. Okay. Trungpa also says, in order to be without deception, the only reference point you can rely on is the knowledge that basic goodness exists in you already. The certainty of that knowledge can be experienced in the practice of meditation. This is such a relief. It's like it's in you already. So you don't have to do anything. You just have to relax and meditate. Isn't that great? So, he says, through the practice of meditation, you glimpse a spark or a dot of unconditional basic goodness. He also says, bowing is giving away basic goodness and wind horse to others. He says, while drinking your cup of tea, you might discover that you are drinking tea in a vacuum. In fact, you are not even drinking the tea. The hollowness of space is drinking tea. So while you're doing any little ordinary thing, that reference point might bring an experience of non-reference point. When you put on your pants or your skirt, you might find that you are dressing up space. When you put on your makeup, you might discover you are putting cosmetics on space. You are beautifying space, pure nothingness. In the ordinary sense, we think of space as something vacant or dead. But in this case, space is a vast world that has capabilities of absorbing, acknowledging, and accommodating. You can put cosmetics on it, drink tea with it, eat cookies with it, polish your shoes in it. Something is there, but ironically, if you look into it, you can't find anything. If you try to put your finger on it, you find you don't even have a finger to put. That is the primordial nature of basic goodness. And it is that nature which allows a human being to become a warrior, to become the warrior of all warriors. Here he's talking about the nature of reality, of emptiness and space and nothingness, and what it means to be a warrior. And this is the part where basic goodness gets mysterious. He also says, this is the fruition of warriorship, the complete primordial realization of basic goodness. You simply expose your heart completely. So, to be a good warrior, you expose your heart. You are vulnerable. You sit with your emotions and you share them with your trusted friends, in a council circle or with your loved ones. And lastly, he says, if you are frantic and try to push basic goodness onto others, then nothing happens except further chaos. So, don't be frantic. And I hope this talk was calm.
Ding. Yeah, so we're going to go into comments from that lovely talk. You are.
Thank you, Julie. I love the talk. I love the book, and your talk actually brought something out that made a lot of sense, and also made sense that Trungpa is Robert Roshi's teacher, because it's actually a revolutionary, and in some cases, a book steeped in religious heresy. Because if you took basic goodness in that book and replaced it with the holy, the sacred, or God, you would have a traditional religious book. And what Trungpa did was he stripped it all out and said, the things that we do as Buddhists with our basic goodness, you don't need Buddhism for that. You can do it in a secular manner. And that to me is what resonated, is you know, and I love that. It just hit me throughout your talk, so thank you.
Chisho, wonderful, wonderful talk. And I can't think of a more appropriate person to give a talk on basic goodness. So thank you.
Julie,
And
you're
I certainly second that. I certainly second what Robert Roshi just said. It's absolutely true about you. So I have, first of all, an anecdote. Many years ago, when I was just getting into, I think I was still studying Tibetan Buddhism, I met a person, I knew a person that I worked with. She was in a different department, but I used to run into her on the stairway. And she told me that she was following the spiritual warriorship of Shambhala. And I said, warrior? And it just got me negatively until I began later on to study Zen and really understood what that meant. It's such a powerful term, to be your own warrior in this world. The other thing that I wanted to talk about just briefly was your comment about original sin. I thought to myself, what if Adam and Eve had just been, oh, okay, well, I'm really good anyway. How that would have changed all of modern Judeo-Christian religion. You know, we wouldn't have this horrible yoke of sin and horror surrounding us. Of course, many people in here escape that, but nonetheless, thank you for getting me to think about that, helping me to think about that. You are a bodhisattva. You truly are.
Robin? Robin?
Oh, thank you. Julie, I just wanted to say that I thought the timing of your talk and the subject is absolutely perfect. It's just what I certainly needed to hear today. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Chisho, I wanted to say that when you opened your talk and you said, no matter what you think about your life, the good news is it's better than you know or better than you believe it is. I just thought that was such a gift for everybody. You know, that there is so much to tap into that's wonderful, and to not forget that. That's what your talk has taught me, just to not believe what I might be thinking on the surface, and to meditate myself deeper into the truth. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Chisho, thank you so much for such a wonderful talk. Even just the quality of the way, like the cadence and the way you talk, it feels like you can just tell you're Buddhist, just because it's like this sort of the spaciousness and loftiness of it. It's like we're just there with you, and I loved it the whole way through. But yeah, I think the idea of a warrior with regard to basic goodness, that's part of the reason that the idea of that drew me to Zen in general. I think the way that our precepts are both a negation and an affirmation at the same time, it makes me think about why I worked with Myogetsu as my teacher after she talked about waging peace. The idea that, you know, we're going into spaces that are chaotic and we're bringing the sort of peace, and it's an active thing that we do. And to me, that's what a warrior or a bodhisattva is. So, and you're doing that now. So, thank you.
Chisho, thank you for your talk. I really loved how Trungpa started to talk about emptiness by putting on makeup on There's No Body. You know, it's just, what is it there? It just added such a sense of spaciousness that we're not so attached to this body, this ego form of being a bodhisattva, or, you know, it just opened it up for me. So thank you for that.
Beautiful talk, Julie. I was listening to each quote and trying to remember each one, but then I'd forget it as soon as the next one came up. But the ones that really stuck out was fearlessness, and the idea that you can't have fearlessness without fear, that it's okay to be afraid. So that really stuck out, and there was another one that I can't think of right now. So I'm just going to pass it on. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie, for a great talk. I have something, whenever I think of the term basic goodness, I always think, gosh, I wish in our language we had some other word than good to use. Because in my mind, and perhaps somebody can correct me or help me out here, but I don't think of it as like good versus bad. You know, it's not like it's morally good. What we're talking about is something like our innate nature is full, whole, complete, just as it is. And that word good can catch me sometimes, you know, because we are also, our culture is also pervasively wanting to put things into a bucket. It's this or it's that. And so I was trying to bring that notion as you talked, and so thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful talk. Harmony is the word that comes to mind for me. And as I was thinking of everything you were saying and the examples everybody gave, what I was thinking about is the essence of these things. And we're really talking about energy. And we know now that we didn't know 200 years ago that energy is mostly space. Very little of it is whatever energy is, right? We know that it gives off light, some of which we can see, most of which we can't, right? Somebody mentioned the pine needles, I think that was you. They give off a smell, right? The light trickles on them. It's how we interact with it. And that to me is harmony. There is energy and there's the reception of energy, but there's space all in between that. And we ourselves are that way. Just, I think of like a light bulb, and that light won't shine unless we get the dust off of it. You mentioned towels. The nature of a towel is to clean, and of course, in the cleaning, it will get dirty, and then we clean the towel, right? So it's a cycle that has harmony. It's a dance, and most of that is space, but we have to allow for that, or it doesn't allow for those other energies to coexist happily. That's my take. Thank you.
Anyone else online?
Say something.
Yuki. Good morning.
Morning. Thank you, Julie. It was wonderful to hear your talk, knowing how much time you spent to prepare and thank you for your teachings. There were just so many elements that felt deepened my understanding of how we practice. One of the things how we do Holy practice. I think you just really deepened that understanding that's about the practice. And I thought it was just really something that I feel like the whole Mahasanghas need to hear especially today. It's very beautiful. And then when I'm walking next to you, sometimes I feel like I'm walking next to some deity. Maybe I mentioned to you, like Avalokiteshvara. You're a wonderful bodhisattva. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity of sharing your wonderful presence.
Thank you, Yuki.
Okay. I think that concludes our talk. We want to remind everybody, thank you for joining us, but everyone that is here in the Zendo, we do have refreshments and some time together in the community room for kinship. If you would please join us, and let's just another bow gasho to Julie Chisho for such a lovely talk this morning. Thank you so much. And Rashida? Rashida, welcome. Welcome. I hope you join us for kinship. All right, everybody, thank you.
Hi, Yuki.
I'm just staying today.
Hi.
I see. Okay.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Oh, they're waiting too. They're waiting too.
Trisha, hi.
Yeah, I just kind of quit the script, but it would just take me